personal safety of someone, wouldn't we think that is just as important? You can't have free speech if you get murdered.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that Florida is known as the most pro-law enforcement state in the nation. That's why businesses are packing up and moving here. That's why Florida doesn't have businesses closing down, like Walgreens in California, like Target in New York, like Walmart in Chicago. Because not only do we say we're going to enforce the rule of law, because hey, we as a people who are governing ourselves say we stand for the rule of law and we're going to enforce the laws that we come up with. Seems like a simple concept, not everywhere in the nation, but we are going to ensure that. But we're also going to say those people that we need to do that, those law enforcement men and women who say, I'm going to not make a lot of money, but I'm going to put my life on the line, and I'm going to stand strong for enforcing those laws that we the people say are important to them, we're going to have their backs. And we're going to make sure they're paid well, and they can buy a home in the community that they live in, and that they can support their family. And not only that, more than anything, more than pecuniary gain, or even buying a home, they would tell you what means to them more than anything is a community that says, thank you, and we support you. We are so grateful that you're willing to rush into a firing situation when we're running out. Just a thank you, and a community says, we are pro-law enforcement. And from the day I got in office, month 2, we launched Back the Blue. A Back the Blue campaign, a very simple campaign to just say, thank you. And when everything started happening around the nation, and things started going awry, and businesses were like, what are we doing? Glass is shattering, our products is being stolen, riots are happening, things are on fire. Did you see that in Florida?
No.
And because of that, law enforcement officers from around the nation are flooding into Florida. We launched a Be a Florida Hero campaign, reminding them that we'll pay you, we'll help you buy a house, we'll support your family, and by darn it, we're going to stand up and support you. We've got your back. We've got your 6 while you've got ours. And they are flocking here. In fact, we are the #1 state for New Yorkers moving here. I would guarantee you we're the #1 state for NYPD officers packing up and moving here. And I have personally met with them, and I have personally heard from one that said his mother, who still lives in New York, encouraged him to leave Florida, move here to be an officer. And when I heard that a mom was encouraging her son to move across the country for his safety and job satisfaction, I thought, wow, it must be really bad. Because what that would take for me to encourage my sons to move across the country from me, you can imagine how bad it's gotten there. So in terms of clearing out the bad actors, we're doing a lot of stuff this year, and I hope that you'll be paying attention to it. In terms of the synthetic chemicals that are rushing into our state, affecting not just all of our population, but our kids, look out for illegal synthetic products. 58% of illegal synthetic untested vaping products are sold in Florida. The most are dumped in Florida, and I call it the big China dump because they're coming from overseas. They're sold in Florida. They're not tested. We want to pay attention to that. We also know that gas station heroin has been freely sold. I emergency scheduled that this year. We're looking to ban it. Gas station heroin is a drug, a synthetic called tianeptine, and it had been just sold on our store shelves. We're going to look to ban that. I can't tell you how much fentanyl is still a crisis here. Just to put this in your perspective, and I've used this a lot, and I think it shocks people. When Nancy Reagan first said, just say no, back in the 80s, remember those 3 famous words? Just say no. We were in a crisis, and we were losing 3,000 people nationwide a year to overdose deaths. National campaign, public outcry, 3,000 people a year. Last year we lost 112,000 people to fentanyl overdose. So when we say crisis, please do not fall prey to thinking this is some political stunt. 112,000 people in our nation compared to 3,000 when those words were spoken, just say no. And it's because it's being put into traditional drugs that people never see coming. It's being put into pills like Xanax, Adderall, things that our kids are taking and they have no idea fentanyl is laced in there. We're doing everything we can to stop the supply coming into our country at the border. Legally, I've done everything within my power to try and secure that border, to keep that from flooding in amongst the surge. But the reality is it is here, and it's devastating families. So pay attention to that in your communities, pay attention to that in your workforces, and make sure that you're supporting legislation that is helping us deal with the addiction and cutting off the supply and the law enforcement efforts. Federal piracy of mail has always been important. We want to make sure that that supply line is secure and that people don't steal from the mail. We now see with the evolution in technology of online shopping, porch piracy has become such a problem. That federal mail protection has not extended to that package on the porch. So I'm going to give you a statistic and you're going to leave here and go, how is this possible? In the last 3 months of last year, I think it was about 44 million folks had packages stolen off their doorstep. That's 17% of our population had their packages just stolen from their doorstep. So increasing those penalties, making sure that that concept of stealing from the mail extends to stealing from the porch will protect you, your families, and I dare say many of the businesses that are sitting in this room. Those efforts to allow for an environment for the prosperity of good faith players in our marketplace, eliminate our bad actors, those efforts of working together as we the people are so important, and I believe it's what set Florida on our trajectory of success. We have shown that prosperity is achievable with purpose-driven, principled leadership. And that hinges on your engagement with us. So for those of you that are here today, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for engaging with us. We won't get it right all of the time, but I can tell you the passion to work with you and make sure that we're addressing the ills of Florida, the problems of Florida, the challenges of Florida before they get ahead of us. That's what is going to keep us on this road to success. That's going to keep us the #1 state in all the nation where folks want to live. And I am so glad that you have trusted me to be a part of the leadership team in Tallahassee. Thank you so much.